you can see that debris right there. That's typically a rodent nesting. That's typically what I see in these Toyotas because they have soy-based wiring, and one, they're attracted to the heat, and when they get in there, there's this nice little cover, and then you have the shelter for them. And again, this is the most common problem I see. Now, this stuff I see get brittle over a long period of time. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to happen like tomorrow, but the more we can get that heat off of it, we can make the insulation on the wire last longer. But you guys can see with the engine cover off, it's a lot easier to do inspections. Every time I do an inspection, I just quickly go over plugs, make sure they're plugged in all the way. You can see with servicing anything as far as oil caps go and everything that I can remove it easily and put it back on. Now, my other argument is saying, if the engine cover is so important, this is a V6, then why are we only covering half of the engine? We're not covering the back portion. Because you can see down here that the bottom is still exposed. You can see down to the ground. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but you can see down to the ground. So if this engine cover is doing a ton of work as far as protecting it from water, and if it is doing that on the front, then how come the area by the wheels where it's open, the back portion doesn't have one? Well, one, they can't really do it, and it doesn't really necessitate having it. There is also an argument saying that the engine cover helps the vehicle run better in the wintertime for the sensors and the electronics. I'm really not going to go with that one because we can obviously see that the engine cover is only covering half the engine. So if that's the case, then only half the engine would work well. Now, we could also argue that maybe it's warmer in the back. It's a little bit far-fetched, but we can just see in here that this is 45 degrees, the engine cover off, warm.
Celsius.
And then the top of the engine cover is 27 degrees.
Celsius.
Intake, 43. Oh, the airbox, 27. So it does retain heat, for sure. Whether that's good or bad for it, or if you even need it in the winter, is arguable. Here we're looking at a Volvo, and you can see that they cover the timing belt, and then they cover up the bare essentials for the electronics just for looks. But they don't have a full engine cover, and I can do a quick inspection of everything. So you guys can see this is the long-term effects of what happens to plastic aluminum over time. You see it's crumbling apart here, and that's just normal from heat cycling plastic. It just does not like it. That's why in other videos you see me, I'll heat tape it, vinyl tape over it, and then I will hit again with exterior Tesa to act as a thermal barrier, because this is what happens. Like, this is just getting radiating heat from the engine. This one is right next to it. It's not as close, but you can see because it's so close to the engine, it's starting to degrade. And the next is going to be the tape, and then possibly the wiring insulation over time. If we had an engine cover over it, that would accelerate this process. Okay, let's look at this Honda over here. So this engine cover, if we can call it that, I agree with. It is part of the valve cover assembly. Now inside, they already have conduit that organizes all the wire. So there might be a couple engine covers out there, probably Volkswagen again, where it might help route the wires for the spark plugs, this coil on plug. I haven't really seen it though, but we can totally tell in this one, like, okay, this one makes complete sense. Rodents can't get underneath it. Heat's not going to really be an issue because it's going to travel around it.
It's small.
And it's already tight in here. They just did it as a finishing piece to make it look better. But you know what, I'm going to agree with this style of engine cover. If we can call this an engine cover, it's more of just a wire cover on this one. Here we have a 2015 Subaru Forester. So this one's interesting because Subaru is an all-wheel drive company with the exception of the BRZ, and they don't run an engine cover. Now, you would think a company that is big on all-wheel drive prowess, using your vehicle in different types of terrain, would use an engine cover if it was really helping it protect the engine from the elements. Now they do have a cover over here. This makes a ton of sense to me because you have all the drivetrain pulleys on here. So all the accessory drive is right off the front. So that way, in case you put your hands here, the engine's running, it's going to help protect you. So this makes tons of sense, sure. But you can see that we have, again, rodents nesting without the engine cover, but on first glance, you know, we're working on this vehicle, I already know. So I can inform them, hey, you have rats nesting in here. You need to clean this. You need to take precautions in order to prevent
Put a deterrent
from coming in here. But you can see like they could put some sort of engine cover. You could put studs in here. You could put like caps in here. I don't know if these cars come with it, but they've obviously removed it. But if it did come with it, but you can see there's nothing really advantageous because all that wiring over there, they're sealed plugs. It's not going to really help them. The cylinders, it's a boxer on the side, so everything's on the side of the engine. But you do have wiring coming over here.